Welcome back, everybody, to another production meeting. What's up? How's everybody?
Good.
Awesome.
I'm all right, man. I'm all right. Just play it. It's a good week. It's a good week. I watched the homework. I started some new series. Started a series or two with the Bean. We started watching Evil, which is on Netflix, which is all right. I mean, it's interesting if you like paranormal stuff, but there's definitely some flaws with it. But it's only 13 episodes. We're halfway through. I'm hoping it ends an okay note. We also started watching this reality race show on Discovery Plus, which I am now a subscriber of, so I can watch all the 90 Day Fiancé content that they have. Everyone's excited about that.
Isn't that on Hulu?
No, man. Is it? Well, they have like bonus extra shows that I know about and that Jeannie wants to watch. So now we're Discovery Plus members, but they have a show on there. They have a show on there called Race Around the Earth or World or something, and it's only like 6 episodes long. And it's about these, like, they get like 5 teams, and they're like, here's the money that you could have used to purchase a plane ticket to get from Greenwich to Shanghai. You need to get there without going by plane. And then they just set them loose. So it's kind of interesting. I got one more episode to go, and I will let all y'all know next week who won, because I'm sure you're all waiting on bated breath.
Yeah, and then he's like, I can watch all of the Cashed Cab episodes I can manage to intake.
They do.
No, just kidding. That's like a good show.
Real talk. I think that's on A&E though. I don't know. Was that on TL or Discovery?
It was
Discovery
on Discovery when I first watched it. I have not watched it in years, but so it might be on A&E.
But they have they have their whole backlog of content from like the past 15 years on there. So it's pretty awesome. And it's like the Discovery Channel. It's like TLC. It's Earth. It's, I don't know. They have like 12 different channels. So they all have their stuff on. So it's kind of cool just for that. But yeah, that's what I did. And I've been playing Greedfall more and more. So I'm like 22 hours into that. And I'm just going around hacking and slashing. So that was my week, man. It's my week.
I'll go next. What did I do this week? I did the homework, and then I played a lot of, I'm almost done with Sackboy Adventures. I need a lot of multiplayer trophies for that, which kind of annoys me, but I actually met a couple cool dudes who are willing to help me on the trophy hunting, so that's cool. And then I started watching Matt, was it you who was talking about Servant? Several.
Yeah. Well,
okay. Well, Clint was talking about it with me recently, and then but were you the one, Clint, also who was reviewing it? Did you review it? I know Matt reviewed it.
Yeah, I gave me thoughts about it. Yeah.
Okay. Well, I started that this week. I got through the first 2 episodes, and I mean, I don't know if I want to even. Well, just a little tiny spoiler. I mean, you get into it really quick in the show, and I text Clint and I go, "Is that a fake baby?" And then 5 minutes later, I go, "Oh, never mind, it's a fake baby." I was like, "Okay, weird." And but M. Night Shyamalan, I don't even remember you saying either Clint or Matt about that it was an M. Night Shyamalan, and I was like, okay. I got into this especially since Wayward Pines had only 2 seasons, and it kind of died in purgatory 3 years ago, and I was like, man, I need something M. Night Shyamalan. Well, he didn't even direct that; he produced that. This one, I think he directed, right?
I know he produced it. He might have written the concept. I don't think I'm not even sure if you read the concept for it.
Yeah.
Well, he's involved in enough way where he's the big name.
Yeah, he's the writer. He's the executive producer, and
okay.
I think he directed.
He probably directed the first episode.
Yeah, the first episode maybe. Just to kind of set that tone. But let me tell you, sir, it gets more bizarre as you watch these.
Yeah, at least now that you're going through it, you have the second season to look forward to.
That's kind of what got me into it. Yeah.
My biggest gripe was if I'd known what was going to happen at the end of the first season, I probably just wouldn't have watched it and just waited for the next season to come out because it's kind of annoying. So,
okay. How many episodes are there? What, like 9, 10?
I don't remember. It's
okay,
no more
whatever.
than that.
Yeah, well, what's good is that they're only a half hour long each. So that's pretty good. Shoot, what was I going to say about it? I like Rupert Grant. I didn't know if he was going to have like a butcher of a American accent. But he sounds pretty normal to me. I don't know about what you guys thought, but he sounds pretty normal to me. I was like, I'm pleasantly surprised that, he doesn't sound all Ron.
Yeah.
So that's what I did this week.
Ryan?
Ooh.
I did not do a ton. I work, so there's that. And I've spent my time not working, picking the flesh off the dead carcass that is Family Video, the real retail rental store. Limited to out of 3 stores within a 30-minute drive, 8 or 9 trips in the last week.
Wow.
So I will have a bunch that I've watched recently in the next couple weeks. I also bought Relic, so I'll have that hopefully next week, and a couple other new ones like that. The only thing that I really watched that was relatively new was The Marksman, which opened last weekend. According to IMDb, it opens this weekend, but it definitely opened last weekend. I don't blame anybody for not updating anything about movies right now on IMDb, but it's annoying. I've gone a week without rating it officially. Do you want me to go ahead and drop a quick review for it?
Yes.
Yeah, man.
It's January, and it's a movie, and it's not bad. So go see it if you've got a theater. It's fine. It does not feel like one of the old man Liam Neeson movies where it's just Liam Neeson and there's a gimmick, and he's got to beat people up. And that has become it's become a formula, even if he's not doing that, where movies like Walk on the Tombstones ends up underperforming because of Taken 2 the same year. And so I think this does a good job not being anything like that. Like the last couple, Commuter, Honest Thief, they all feel like the same movie. This feels much more like a classic Clint Eastwood-esque Western, or your Logan-style Western. It's got a good story, pretty good characters. It's not the most interesting film in the world as far as it's got really boring villains, and it tries a little too gung-ho at some point. There's like a stunt where someone shoots a bullet and a car goes flipping in the air, and I'm like,
but science, bro.
Yeah, but I mean, it's not.
Man.
It was entertaining. Liam Neeson's really good in it, so I'd say it's probably worth checking out. Ordinarily, in any other year, if there were any other movies out, I would say like, oh, this is a Redbox movie. But since there's literally nothing coming out this weekend, it's probably worth checking out.
As long as it's not anything like Cold Pursuit. That movie sucked so much.
I agree. Cold Pursuit had some problems for sure.
Yeah.
But yeah, it is. It takes that slow pacing and puts it to a good use.
Okay.
Awesome.
Interesting.
I just did the homework and locked it down.
Did you read your book?
Yeah, it's getting interesting. New villains are being introduced and their backstories are being introduced. So it's getting a little... I can tell that this is like the launching point because there's a lot of filler that they're trying to like put in here. So it's a little slow, but still a good book.
They're like, check out this character, check out this character, check out this character, check out this character.
All these Jedi that you now have to like memorize who they are and what they do and where they're from and like what rank they are and all this other stuff. It's just like, okay.
This is our Jedi Master.
You want to know more about their
Saskatchewan.
backstory? We got 3 books coming out just about their backstory.
Right.
For one person.
Speaking of Star Wars,
Uh-oh.
Ryan, your shirt, it's cool. But out of my peripheral, I keep thinking it's the All That logo.
I don't know what that is.
I mean, I don't know
yellow,
if...
but
Yeah, I mean,
think
you
you're
get what I'm.
saying, like your shirt and his shirt together,
Yeah,
like combined, and it's just.
I mean, there's nothing wrong with it, Ryan. You rock that shirt. That's
Something else
cool.
on. I'm just.
Yeah, go
Another shirt.
research. No, oh, I thought you were gonna change right now. There, oh, it actually looks like you weren't wearing it. That's kind of weird.
My
Oh, okay.
Nice.
No, you're good. You're good. Your
I was
wardrobe's
really
good. It just
I thought he
kept
was just gonna
making me
pull out
think of that.
I thought he was just gonna pull out the all that t-shirt and just put it on and be like, "Oh no,
Right.
man, I'm not wearing that one today."
It's Super Dude.
I have absolutely no idea what you guys are talking about. By the way.
Oh man, all that was
Just 3 years removed. It just passed him right by. Never even saw it as a child. I'm sorry.
Is it?
yeah.
Is it a show?
It was like Saturday Night Live kind of for kids, for teenagers, for like preteens or teens, kind of like that.
Ironically, also on Saturday Night Nickelodeon, known as Snick.
Snick.
Have a Snickers.
You're looking hungry. So yeah, that was it. Are you guys ready for this bullet news?
We've got
a lot of
so
stuff.
much to talk about, man.
So much to talk about. A lot of reviewing. So we're gonna like bullet through this news. This is literally the only stuff that I found that was interesting. Mortal Kombat dropped some first images synopsis. Apparently.
Good over here.
Yeah. They look pretty good. Did you see?
I mean,
Ryan?
they look all right.
I was gonna say I got two quick thoughts I had on it.
Go for it.
This film comes out in like 2 months, and we don't have we're just now getting the first images.
It was supposed to come out in like 2 weeks, man.
Yeah, that is
Oh, yeah.
that is not a good sign. But the bar is also so low.
I'm just under the camp where I'm like, at this point, just don't release anything, and just put the movie out there, and just go in and just know nothing and watch it, because you're not going to blow anyone away with this pictures or lack of trailer or anything like that. So I was actually surprised they put stuff out.
Where's our trailer? That's kind of weird. Make a good point. So you don't want to know the synopsis of Mortal Kombat?
I mean,
No?
is it any different than any other Mortal Kombat?
Well, apparently, and you're following a main character that is not one of the game characters. That makes sense.
It's kind of like probably the kid from The Wizard. Is what was that game from that movie from like 1989?
The Wizard in 1993.
Okay, so it was a wizard. Yeah. Is it 93? Wait, did you say 93 or 83?
Kind of like The Wizard. Wait, what was that movie?
Yeah, The Wizard of Oz. I know, I'm making a lot of old references here. No,
I
it's
don't know what that is either.
It's a movie with Fred Savage and
Ben Savage.
It's Ben Savage. Is it both of them? Yeah,
he's a little kid.
Like
Fred Savage is Corey,
and Luke Haas, I think, isn't it? Because he plays the wizard.
The Power Glove kid.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dude, Ryan, it's okay. So let me dumb this down for you. Not to say that you're dumb or anything, but let me just like break down this for you. So the wizard is basically Rain Man with children that play video games. It was simple. And this is literally how like Nintendo first introduced Super Mario Brothers 3. They were like, "Hey, you want to see the first glimpses of Super Mario 3? You got to watch this movie." And they were like, "Yay!" It was awesome.
I would have done it if I was like around that age.
Yeah, it was a good movie.
I was 1 year old when that came out.
Yeah, Ryan was just a glimmer in his father's eye.
He was -2, 3.
-5.
Oh gosh, -5.
Let me double check.
Yeah, 98, I think. 89.
Yeah, of
89.
course you don't know what all that is. It's like all that was like
89.
leaving air when you were born.
It doesn't look good. It doesn't look good at all. I added it to my watch list. I'll probably never watch it.
Probably not. Oh well. Okay, so Mortal Kombat. That was Mortal Kombat. Zack Snyder confirmed that Justice League is actually going to be a 4-hour movie, not 4 hour-long episodes.
I would like to quickly state that if I remember correctly, I don't think we talked about Zack Snyder week at all, and we might not have talked about him the week before that either. So we're just breaking this streak, man.
Yeah.
We had done nothing. We had no DC news, and then it just shows right back up.
Oh, we got a couple beats of DC news this week.
Because he watches these videos and he's like, why aren't they talking about Justice League?
Right? Yeah. That's how word of mouth happens. So yeah, 4-hour movie. You guys gonna be ready for this? Yes.
Is there gonna be like an intermission where it'll just be like a blank screen and we'll get like some music? Everyone get up and go to the bathroom.
It's just
You
Ben
think they'll-
Affleck walking across the screen. No, I'm Batman. No.
I hope that it's the Justice League and they're doing the let's all go to the lobby. So, more Justice League news. Apparently Ray Fisher is out as Cyborg. His tumultuous relationship with Warner Brothers has come to an end. So he made his statements. Things happened. And so Ray Fisher is out. And so they may have to find another Cyborg. Oh, well.
It's not the worst.
It's okay.
News.
I feel like at least it's him getting off a sinking ship. So, I mean, the sad thing is he doesn't have anything else to go to, but
Right.
I don't think it's going to hurt him at all.
You don't? I was going to ask, like, I mean, do you think after all the trouble that he's made and the waves that he's created, do you think that like this is going to be harder for him to find other gigs?
Maybe. I mean, probably. He'll probably get, dare I say, blacklisted.
Yeah, that's sad, but oh well. Continuing on with Warner Brothers, though, Godzilla vs. Kong is moved up till March. Ryan has something to say. Go ahead, Ryan.
I could. That was really surprising. I really hope. Now, I don't know really what the situation is. Obviously, they settled with Legendary Pictures, and then
Yes.
I feel like somebody sat down and watched the movie, and they were like, "Oh, this is actually good." Put it at a block, kind of a like right when we're getting over, trying to get theaters back open. I
Mhm.
hope that's the case, or they're like, "Crap, this is bad. Throw it in March because theaters won't be open."
Well, didn't what happened is that Bond moved from its April date, and then that opened up that weekend before because no one was there because they didn't want to get steamrolled by Bond, and so they're like, we're going to throw this movie here and release it sooner, just so then there won't be anything else there.
That is the
Yeah.
rumor. The rumor is that No Time to Die is going to be no time at all. So I think that they are planning it to be pushed back until like November again. But as far as I know, they haven't moved it yet.
Okay.
Yeah, but something else just vacated from March, I believe.
Morbius.
I don't remember what it was. Morbius, yeah.
Maybe it was Morbius.
So I hope this is a good sign. I hope we actually have a film that could perform well. People might, I don't know, the old ones, I don't know, probably on Blu-ray, but it's not good. So I'm just really hoping for a good Kong versus Godzilla.
Yeah. Oh well. More Warner Brothers news.
Choice.
Yeah. More Warner Brothers news. They are making a Willy Wonka prequel. And I think this is like bringing back our famous segment, Why Do We Need This? Why do we need this? This is dumb.
I obviously, being a huge Charlie and the Chocolate Factory fan and a huge Gene Wilder fan, I have mixed feelings about this. Mainly because
Willy
I don't
Wonka
like
and the Chocolate
Willy Wonka.
Factory.
I don't enjoy Willy. Oh yeah, sorry. I get them mixed up in my head all the time. I don't enjoy the Johnny Depp one just because I don't enjoy the character. That said, looking at numbers and reviews, it was fairly successful at the box office. So
Yeah.
I can't argue with the fact if they want to go back to the well. I mean, the film actually did really, really well overseas. So it'll probably do really, really well overseas again, I would assume. But who knows?
I'm half like, why do we need this? Because I was the one who shared it on the page, and I'm like, if they go the dark route, like Matt had mentioned that Charlie and the Chocolate Factory did, then why are we even pursuing this? That's going to be super dumb. But if they make it kind of that whimsical, because when did the original Charlie and the Chocolate Factory come? I mean, Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory come out? Like
The
70.
70s?
Yeah, like 70, like early 70s.
78.
I thought it was early 70s. Okay, well, whatever. So it's got that whimsical kind of almost
71.
I knew
There
it.
you go.
I knew it. I knew it was either 71 or 73. But anyway, if they have it more upbeat and whimsical and happy-go-lucky, then yeah, sure, why not? But there's potential, for why do we need this? It could steamroll that way too, and then wonder who's going to be in it.
I think I read somewhere that they wanted Tom Holland
Amber
or
Heard.
Phew. Timothy. Was it Chalamet?
I think Tom Holland would be good at that, as if they go like kind of the younger life of Willy Wonka himself. I think that would be a good role for him.
Yeah, I think that's what they're aiming for, is like a Wonka prequel.
I'm down.
Can we just get a Minion style movie, but with Oompa Loompas instead?
Yeah, let's do that. That sounds awesome.
No, just take the idea and run with it. Just do it. It's okay.
All right.
You can have it.
What would you call it?
Oompa Loompas. Duh.
Probably, yeah.
Yeah, or just like Loompas.
Loompas. There you go.
Man, can we get? Oh man, they got Loompas. Oh man, sorry about that.
All right, last bit of news. Ethan Hawke has been cast as a villain in Moon Knight. I think this is a good choice. I like Ethan Hawke. I think he's done well. And I don't think he's ever played a villain, has he?
No, I mean, I think he's
I don't
teetered the lines. I mean, he's been very like grayish characters, but I don't think he's been like
Yeah.
straight up villain before.
Yeah, didn't you
Right.
ever see Dead Poet Society? He was totally the villain in that. I'm just kidding. I love that movie, by the way.
Oh, Captain, my Captain.
Yeah.
That's the last bit of news. So are you guys ready for some television?
All right, let me turn on my TV. Oh, you mean
There
our
we go.
segment?
Our news segment, Television, where we review each week, like Mando Time, WandaVision, and this week they dropped the first 2 episodes of WandaVision. Can I really say like what these 2 episodes are about? Like, one is very. Go ahead, Ryan.
If you don't, I will.
Do it.
'Cause I got
Go
some
for it,
nitpicks.
Ryan. Try to.
No, I mean they're just a 40s or 50s sitcom. It's just Bewitched.
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
that
That's what
the
it
second
is.
one was
Just Bewitched.
a little bewitched. I think the first one was kind of aiming for I Love Lucy, in that type of style.
It was more like there was a combination of like Bewitched, Dick Van Dyke, I Love
Yeah.
Lucy, I Dream of Jeannie. It was like a combination of all 4 of those. I feel
Yeah.
like.
Yeah. I think the first one was actually in front of a live studio audience because somebody said something about laugh tracks, and I don't think that they actually had. Maybe in the second episode, but not in the first one, because I've heard that they did a live studio audience for the first one. I actually kind of really enjoyed these. It kind of gives it's a very Twilight Zone-y Black Mirror type, and with some good like throwbacks to like all those shows that Matt you just said. So I'm kind of like really curious now, like where they're gonna take this. So I give this like an 8.5 for the first 2 episodes.
I think it's really early to tell how good this show is. I mean, because Marvel's doing something a little experimental here. We don't really know what exactly is going on, and we have to piece things together as they happen. I mean, obviously, you know, the internet critics have pieced together all sorts of like Easter eggs and possibilities of what's happening and rumors that they've heard. But how exactly is this all going to come together? As far as like entertaining goes, they definitely were entertaining, and I couldn't really find much fault with them. I'm kind of in your boat here with probably rating it a 7 or 7 out of 10, 8 out of 10, sometime around there. But I can definitely see how this show, especially if you're like just a generic Marvel movie fan and not really maybe up to date with graphic novels, or just not into that whole thing, but expecting something from Marvel like their movies, how this could be kind of a turnoff for you, and how divisive this show could be if you're expecting, you know, your typical Marvel movie experience.
Right.
So I can see that. It's just really experimental for him. And considering we have no idea how we got here or what's going on, I feel like it's a little too early to judge the whole series as a whole.
Right.
So Ryan, I'm going to let you go.
Well, before you go, Ryan, I do want to say that like when we do review these, I want to do it as like the technical aspects of them, and like, and when we do like the season together, then like piece it together as like entertainment. But I think that this is done like do that type of way. Go ahead, Ryan. Sorry.
No, you're good. You're good. Alex, is that so we can go highest to lowest? I'm just kidding. I didn't have I didn't have expectations for this, and I'm kind of glad I didn't. I didn't really care for these. I thought I'm just going to call it a gimmick, not in a negative way. The Bewitched gimmick, I'm going to call it Bewitched because the opening, I don't want to say too much, but like there's a like a direct nod at one point where it's like, oh, this is pretty much what this is. I think that wears off, and apparently for either the studio audience or the laugh track, it didn't wear off, and that kind of wore down on me. Where I was like, oh, this is the same joke we've been doing, where it's funny because we know who these are. 40 minutes later, that joke is the joke this show has. I really the biggest thing for me is I don't know why we needed 2 episodes of this. I would have just genre hopped. I would have gone from black and white 40s straight to like 70s sitcom. Something else. There wasn't enough. I mean, I know that the show is leading somewhere, but the fact that we're 2 episodes in and we've only gotten like one vague information is really it's baiting. It reminds me a lot of Lost, where it's just like and I'm like, stop! I want actual information or none at all. And so that might change. I just got a little tired of a lot of it. I will admire the performances. It definitely is funny. I laughed a lot. It's not like I regretted watching these. And so I'll probably land around a 6 for now, just to be safe. My biggest nitpick, it's shot really well. It's shot like a sitcom. It's staged really well. It's acted really well. It is not edited like a sitcom at all. There's lots of quick cuts, cutting in, things that cameras can't do when you only have maybe a 3 setup on a live studio audience. And that kind of bothered me because I was like, I already nitpick the MCU's editing, so I might as well just dive into the television shows. And I thought they kind of missed an opportunity to hit some of the people who are really intrigued in the quality they're putting into, which is a shame because I think they did put a lot of quality work into the making of these 2 episodes. But then they just kind of just did their regular bit of editing.
Right.
So, I thought it was all right.
What number do you give it?
A 6.
6.
I don't want to give it lower than a 6. That's not doing it justice. Because it is funny. I laughed enough to give it a 6. But, you know.
Okay. I mean, my thoughts are pretty similar to yours, Ryan. I'd actually texted you. I was like, I'm wondering if I'm kind of alone in this frame of thought. And yeah, I'm kind of a mixture of Matt and Ryan's thoughts. Again, I think Matt nailed it. He's like, it's way too soon to judge this because we don't know what we're doing here and then ultimately where we're going yet. So by itself, I think it's just not fair to judge. But like, I agree with Ryan. I would have more appreciated the approach of doing different styles episode to episode instead of doing one long continuous like 50s thing. But again, that's because we just don't know why we're here. So it's probably going to make a lot more sense. I think there's only 9 episodes in this season. So I mean, we're going to find it out pretty soon within the next couple months. So I think it's episode 5. It's probably going to start taking shape. Maybe 4. I wasn't crazy about the whole 50s sitcom kind of take on it. Like it's fine. I knew what I was getting into when I was watching it, and of course I'm going to stick with it. Because it's Marvel, and it's going to go somewhere. But like Ryan said, it kind of just drug on a little. It was just kind of like, okay, I get it. Can we just kind of move on? And there was the obvious overacting, like that of the 50s style. It's like, hey, honey, how you doing? I'm good. How are you? Clank. Oh, you. It's like, I get that. It's the style. So after so long, I mean, the saving grace is that, I mean, it's only a half hour long, and really it's not even that long. It's like 20 minutes because you get to like the credits with 7 minutes left. I checked with 7 minutes left of programmed time. That 7 minutes is all special effects credits and then regular, crawl credits. And so I'm like, okay, it's only 20 minutes each. So I guess I can put up with that for 20 minutes or 40 minutes total. So, I think I'd give it a 6 as well. I think it's fine for what it is. It's not blowing me away. And, it's going to be the start of this bigger picture that we're going to get pretty soon. So I don't think it's fair to judge it right now, but it is what it is. If you're a Marvel fan, watch it. You're going to get somewhere soon.
Yeah. Cool. All right. Well, that was Tele-Vision.
Well, hold on. I'm not done.
Oh, okay.
I'm not done
okay,
talking.
sorry.
No, I was just going to say, I wanted to piggyback a little bit on Ryan's stuff. I feel like this series is probably going to do, and I kind of had that Lost 5, and I think it was because of the baiting. I feel like that's the gimmick of this show. It's going to be gimmick episode after episode with a lot of baiting in it. Now, who knows if we're going to get any type of resolution towards 8 or any type of explosion of like conflict. I'm sure there'll be. I mean, I don't know if anybody. I ended up actually watching the trailer, and there's a lot of stuff shown in the trailer that's like, wow, that's going to happen. This is going to happen. That looks more plausible and makes more sense now that I've seen these first 2 episodes. Right. I'd also like to state that I feel like that's the reason that Disney released these 2 episodes at one time, is because they realized that if they had released that first episode by itself, people would have been like, what is this garbage? What's going on? I don't really know anything. But luckily they were like, all right, the first episode's just going to show the gimmick initially just to be like, this is the gimmick. And the second one's going to elaborate on the gimmick, but then be like, hey, you're going to start receiving information and wondering what exactly is going on in here. So we get to see all the glory of, spoiler alert, Sword and whatever type of villains in here that it's probably already in there with her. So all that stuff's online if anybody wants to go look up Easter eggs for WandaVision after they've watched it. So, but yeah, I'm excited. I think it's gonna be entertaining, and that's why it didn't bother me. Although I do really appreciate Ryan's comment about they should have just shot it like a sitcom too, which makes me wonder if maybe they did initially and it just didn't feel right, or I guess it wasn't energetic enough. Maybe, I don't know.
Yeah, it did feel like it was kind of geared towards casual Marvel fans, while also being written for hardcore Marvel fans, and being totally aimed at classic television fans, which is a hard bubble to capture. And so, Matt, I agree. I think releasing these 2 episodes was probably really smart. And next week I'll probably bump it up to at least 7. But yeah, my entire philosophy behind it was that no matter what, my fiance's father sat down and watched these with us. He made it through the first episode and about 10 minutes into the second one and got up and he was like, yeah, that's enough. And he walked away. And I was like, yeah.
Wow.
So I think that's where I'd put it.
Well, do you guys want to talk a little spoilers or? Yeah,
Sure.
I mean, we can talk spoilers.
a little bit more. Yeah, I completely agree with you, like you and Matt, Ryan. Like this is definitely like these first two episodes are definitely written to kind of like bait you in. But like Matt said, like these two episodes are filled with like Easter eggs and kind of like hints towards, and this is for those hardcore Marvel fans, and I think that's why they kind of like did it like this, and in this long form is because so that you can kind of figure out where this is going, because there's a lot of House of M like references, like his magic box has this like the Mind Stone on it, there like all different types of stuff, sword like you mentioned, Matt, like all this other stuff, and if you don't like catch these Easter eggs, you're gonna kind of be a little lost with these first two episodes. Yeah. So like Agnes, I think is like she's like in the comic book, she's like a villain, I think, if I remember correctly.
She's supposed to be the speculation is that she plays, and I can't remember the characters, the actual good, but like an actual witch, like a 1,000-year-old witch who's like kind of a gray character. She's been good and bad, so who knows what her reasoning is, assuming that's who she is, which it probably is her. What her reason is for being in this movie or being in this series. Yeah,
because they keep calling her Agnes, right? And that's like her character, like the comic book character's name too. So I'd be pretty dumbfounded if they change her character at all. So yeah, I can see like how like people can be kind of like lost with these first two episodes. But if you notice like what the Easter eggs, go ahead, Ryan.
My biggest thing, if we're getting into like some spoiler specifics, some little things that just the reason I complain about I nitpick about dropping like little hints and stuff like that is because I had a hard time telling what was for the audience and what the characters could tell, what was like diegetic and what wasn't. You've got like the little red, was it a drone or a helicopter or something like that?
Helicopter.
But you get your use of color, and do your characters know they're in black and white? Do they react to color? It's hard to tell sometimes because there's, it's a weird looking thing. So that reaction kind of goes, or is it playing for the audience, or can she literally see that everything else is black and white and that's in color? Or the weird tonal shift at the end of the first episode where the boss is choking and it gets really serious, and then they get up and leave, and then the episode's pretty much done. And I'm like, do they know that the situation feels out of place? Do we as the audience know that the situation feels out of place? How do the characters react to these things? And it's just some things where it feels like they're put in to get the audience to be like, whoa, something's wrong, without repercussions for the world of the thing that's happening around it. So that was my thing, where it was like, these things are put in for us exclusively. And that might be wrong by the next episode, where we find out that they can't react to things. There's shows and movies that have thought of these situations and done have answers to these situations, but they usually present them earlier on in the episodes or shows or movies. I just watched a Doctor Who where it was like, here's a weird thing that's happening, we can't explain it, but let's yada yada why we can't explain it, and then we'll explain it later. And I was like, oh, thank you, instead of making me wonder if that's just for me the whole time.
Well, I think it's diegetic for her, because if you notice, like, she's the one that starts to react to like a lot of this stuff. I mean, with the helicopter, and then like Dottie bleeding, and her reversing, her reversing time, and her calling upon like Vision to save his boss or whatever. I'm guessing that this is her, and the reason why I'm kind of like for sure about this is because, like I mentioned before, the House of M, this is their MCU's version of House of M, which is basically what in the comic books is like Wanda creates like this whole other alternate universe because her twins die. I don't know if that's a spoiler or not, but like she's like in the comic books, her twins die and they're actually killed, I think, and so she creates like this whole other like this whole other universe and like reality, and she's the one that can control it. So I think that this is what that storyline is, kind of like their version of it. So I think that stuff that she reacts to is actually very diegetic for her and not anybody else, if that makes sense. So, all right. We got anything else on WandaVision? All right. And this television is off.
That opening is way too long. The second episode opening credits is way too long. It's like a solid 90 seconds.
Oh.
It's part of the joke, man. You won't see it again.
I know it's part of the joke, but the joke, if you tell me a 90-second joke, 30 seconds later, I'm not going to care.
Wow. All right. Well,
I don't know if that's true. Anyway.
It just felt like 90 seconds. It was horrible. Cut it out of the show. We don't need it anymore.
It's so long. It's like the full. It's like the full Bewitched opening.
It's gone.
The one and done. I hope. Anyway.
Yeah. All right. Television officially off. So we did some reviews this week. Besides WandaVision, I watched Lockdown. Who else? Matt, you watched Lockdown, right? Did anybody else watch this movie?
I saw the ratings for Lockdown and didn't.
It's probably a good reason. Yeah. So Manny, let's quickly go through this, give our thoughts about this.
Okay.
So this is Locked Down, which stars Chitwell Orenfor and Anne Hathaway, and is based in London, where obviously quarantine has happened, and is using the COVID lockdown as a gimmick for them to steal a diamond from Harrods, some
swanky British department store that sells groceries.
Macy's type grocery store. So let me begin by saying that I liked the performances of this, and I think it's because it felt very, very visceral and very kind of real to me. And I think that they played on the whole lockdown or the whole pandemic and the quarantine stuff very well. It's only until that they get to this idea of stealing this diamond that they kind of lost me, because it's kind of like the other movie that we're going to review later. There's a lot of filler in this movie, and it's not until the third act until like things start to like actually pick up. And so you kind of watch these two kind of deal with this quarantine and stuff in their own different ways, which is fine if that was the movie. And then they threw in this like jewel heist, and it was just kind of like, wait, what? Okay. And it was just so out of left field that it was just kind of like, it wasn't like, it didn't feel kind of like, it didn't flow with the movie. Like it was like I said, like they were trying to deal with this whole quarantine and deal with their relationship and everything. And they're like, oh, we can actually steal a diamond. Let's steal a diamond. And they're like, all right. And then it goes off. So maybe a 6. I thought it was fine. If it's something that you just kind of want to like watch,
you
go ahead.
I feel like I wrote my review down and then you stole it from me while I wasn't paying attention. I know. This is the first of many lockdown movies we're going to see over the next 2 to 3 years, where people are like, what were you doing over quarantine? Writing scripts that have to deal with quarantine. So guess what? We're getting a crap ton of these movies over the next 2 to 3 years, all dealing with people locked up in their houses with who knows who. The performances in here were great, or good at least. The connection, like figuring out what this couple was going through, was interesting. What wasn't interesting was them sprinkling in little elements that was going to lead to the epic heist at the end that literally doesn't make any sense. The whole setup and the way that the heist goes in the end is so poorly written and so poorly done. I'm like, why aren't any of these people in jail? This literally makes no sense. Why are we just chilling now? You just give me the first hour of the movie, maybe, yeah, like the first hour of the movie, and it's fine. I enjoyed watching this dysfunctional couple, you know, try to deal with themselves in quarantine, and listening to this guy have like a mental breakdown, and his wife or, you know, significant other having a mental breakdown. But once we start sprinkling in these little bits and nibbles of, you know, something that could happen towards the end of the movie, I'm like, I don't need any of that, man. I don't need any of that. And especially the way it happens, literally doesn't make any sense as to why they're not in jail right now and why they're just chilling at their house. It doesn't make any sense at all. I don't get it. And yeah, that's it. It's not bad. It's not a bad movie. The last third of the movie is bad. 2/3 of it are okay. That said, I'm not going to give it, I'd give it a 6 out of 10. I wouldn't give it a 5 out of 10. A 6 out of 10 just based on like the plot, or at least the scenario at the beginning. But the end just falls apart. I'm not even sure if it's actually, just based on that, I don't even know if it's worth watching. I couldn't recommend it to anybody. It's not bad. It's just frustrating at the end of the movie. But yeah, 6 out of 10.
Yeah, I suggest the first.
That's all I got to say.
Hour and a half ish. And then after that, yeah, turn it off, because it's, like you said, Matt, like it doesn't.
I mean,
go ahead.
I don't understand how they got out of the place without the police coming. Like, she's supposed to do a job. She doesn't do her job, and then she just leaves and rides off on a bike, and then they go right back to their house. Like, they don't try to run away or anything. I don't get it.
Let's do spoilers for anybody, because I do.
Sorry.
Like I
you don't have to watch it now, because I just told you everything.
Yeah, so you guys don't have to watch this. But I do want to say, because it, like on a level that like Matt and I are trying to explain without spoiling the movie, but now I'm going to spoil it, because it is literally like the first hour and a half of this movie is like watching these two kind of like navigate their relationship, and then somehow the destiny, as they call it in this movie, where he now needs to go pick up a diamond for a bad person they don't really name, don't really kind of like, it does it. It's
a
just
terrorist.
Like some terrorist.
Somebody overseas.
He's done bad things, and somehow has acquired this $3 million or 3 million pound that's diamond. Okay, so $3 million diamond. And she then, like, as soon as she hears this, is all of a sudden like, I could literally steal this diamond and no one would know. And her significant other is the like Brinks guy that has to go get it and like transfer it to Heathrow or some airport in London. And so she's like, hey, let's steal this diamond. No one would know. And then they go through this whole thing about how they're going to steal this diamond. And at the very end of like when they're going to make their decision to steal this diamond, some person that she fired in the beginning of the movie just kind of like randomly shows up and is like, hey, just wanted to be here when you're transporting this $3 million diamond. And she's like, don't tell on us, but we stole this diamond. And he's like, I got you back. And they walk out with this diamond.
Like a long, elaborate speech. And keep in mind this: her husband's like working under the table under false identity the whole time anyway, and that's like one of the crux in here is that they can't. He has a record and he has to, use a false name to like work this job. And I don't even know. They walk down the tunnel and they're like pushing stuff out, and then they leave the cart in the tunnel after the person sees them, and they just walk out the front. I just don't understand like how they don't know that she stole something. Like, I don't get it. I don't
know. Because like they had like a replica, like a glass replica of this diamond that she put in the case. So because it's supposed to go to like Wall Street or something, and it's going to be like in this vault for like however long until the quarantine or whatever lifts, and so he can grab his diamond. And would he really know? Because it's a glass replica and nobody knows the difference. Yeah.
I feel like you guys are talking yourselves down to a 5.
No, I mean, like I said, like the performances are good. Like you like these characters because of, I think, everything that we've been through in the last year, and you kind of understand like where their mental state is until that point where she just is like, F it, I'm gonna steal this diamond.
Yeah.
Whatever. And you're like,
they're like, we need to make this movie exciting. Like,
Yeah.
you really didn't. I mean,
No.
that's fine. I mean, whatever, but okay. And it's just, yeah, that part's bad. I mean, I almost, like, I've got this thing in my head now with the whole Rotten Tomatoes thing where I feel bad calling a movie a flop automatically in my head makes it bad. And I don't want to say that because I don't think it's a bad movie. The last third to a quarter of it is pretty dumb,
Yeah.
but the rest of it's good.
Yeah. Like I said, they're very likable characters, and you're kind of with them through this whole thing. And like she's having a mental breakdown, and he's like lost it and everything. And you're kind of like sympathetic because of everything that's been happening. And I think the movie came out at the right time because it's kind of, hopefully, crossing fingers, knock on wood, that it's like at the end of this whole thing. So, but it's just it's just at that moment where she's just like, I'm going to steal this diamond and you're going to help me and we're going to have $3 million to kind of do whatever. And then you're like,
which in the end doesn't even seem like that much money for what they're doing. I'm just saying,
right.
Like, she's probably making six figures anyway, doing her job, if not like high six figures doing her job.
Yeah.
So like $3 million split up between two of you and you have to do something illegal and you're probably going to get caught. The reward does not seem to work out with what you're doing right now, ma'am.
Yeah.
So and you say that now that it's a good time this came out and hopefully this quarantine's over. Just wait until a year and a half, man, when we get Lockdown 2 and it's like Ocean's 8 where they have to go and steal something else now because they're so successful as diamond thieves. I mean, Anne Hathaway was in that. She knows how to steal stuff.
Yeah.
It's gonna be a good film. Lockdown 2, starring Dave Bautista and Anne Hathaway.
Oh Lord.
Oh.
All right. Yeah. So any more thoughts, Matt, on this?
I'm good, man. The well has run dry here.
All right, then let's get to our collective review of One Night in Miami, which was directed by Regina King, and it can't name all the actors that this stars in, but it has to deal with 4 civil rights or African American like legends in 1964 that get together in Miami after Cassius Clay, aka Muhammad Ali, wins the title of world champion. And it deals with Malcolm X, Sam Cooke, as I said, Cassius Clay or Muhammad Ali, and Jim Brown. And they get together in a hotel room and they pretty much discuss civil rights stuff. So who wants to go first on this one?
I'll let, because I went first last week.
I don't have anything too in depth. This was a very good movie. And every time I watch a movie based on a play where there's maybe 2 locations in the entire play, probably the nicest thing I can say about it is it's very good. There's only, I mean, I understand the limited setting, of course. And this film does a very good job making most of it. For a 2-hour runtime where not much happens, it's not boring, it's not slow, it's very interesting, it's very compelling. I love the dynamic between the 4 characters. Performances are great, really great. And the direction is fantastic. This is her first feature film because she did documentary and TV episodes. So jumping that to this is really, really incredible direction. I don't know how much credit to give specifically Regina King for all of everything in the film because obviously performances get a lot and the way that the play is written gets some credit for like character direction and movements and all that stuff, but it's really on point. There's no I can't think of any major flaws technically speaking in this film. Any that jump out to me, of course. The 3 of the 4 definitely get more screen time, more involvement in the story, so that was expected when you have an ensemble cast, of course. And I wouldn't watch it again. As interesting as it is, I don't think I ever watch any movie based on a play on a kind of a tight-knit, it's a bottleneck movie. And so as interesting as it is, I really loved the discussions based on 60 civil rights. It's really interesting, very applicable, and seeing the different characters, personify their perceptions of their involvement, of course, was really interesting. Malcolm X's involvement being, it's not a spoiler, I won't say what happens in the movie, but being close to the end of his life, historically speaking, was really interesting to see, because historically he had already received at least one death threat. I mean, I've received other death threats, but then throughout his character arc, he was already starting to say like, "Hey, I'm going to make this really bad decision, or decision I want to make," but it probably is going to be something that's I don't want to give too much away, actually. But I mean, I'm having a tough time. It's a really, really compelling story or a character arc in this film, where you essentially have a character who is trying to make this decision. It's something that he wants to do, and he knows that it's going to make his life significantly worse.
Mm-hmm.
So I thought it was very good. I have not sat down to review it. I just watched it today, so I'm going to give it a 7 because I enjoyed it. I wouldn't watch it again. I constantly bump these up to an 8. Quality-wise, it's definitely an 8. But I'm going to start at a 7 just to be safe. That's what I did for every bottle play that I can think of.
Yeah.
All right, I'll go next if nobody cares.
No.
No.
I agree with Ryan. I thought the performances in this were spectacular. All 4 main actors, sublime. Like Ryan said, when you finally get to the part of the movie that is the meat of the movie, where they're discussing what it is, anything that's civil rights, about the advancement of Black people and everything. Yeah, that's what you came to see, and it's never boring at all. It's surprising. Like at what he said, 2 hours long. You would think at one point, I don't even really remember. I just remember getting a little bit lulled for a second, but then it kind of drew me back in. It's very organic chemistry between the actors. I mean, and like I was blown away by I don't know any of the like main actors' names in real life, but the gentleman who played Malcolm X blew me away. I mean, I thought at some parts I really thought it was actually him, because he spoke in the same manner, he looked the part very well, and I was blown away. Everybody in this was really good. There are no really side characters other than the first half hour, so there's not much to mention. That is a little bit of a down part of this movie, is that first little chunk of the movie. I mean, you got to kind of put up a little bit with it. It's not the greatest. It's not bad. It's just not the greatest thing. It's leading up to the conversation between the 4 of them that you got to get through that journey, and it's not bad. It's just not the greatest thing. But yeah, and I remember texting you guys right after I finished it and said Regina King. I did not know that she directed that, and I was like blown away. She did phenomenally in this, but it's almost like she did it in a simple way. Like she did the less is more kind of approach. Like she didn't try and do too crazy things. Like they didn't do anything. They didn't take crazy angles. They just they showed you what the characters are, what they have to say, or what the actual people were, what they have to say, and just let the camera take you along with where they're going with their thoughts. And their emotional development doesn't feel like the right word, but like progression, I guess, is a more accurate word. And it felt real, and it felt like you were watching what was actually maybe going down. Now, again, this is a fictional moment based on other events that ensued. So, but I thought it was great. I mean, we're very early into 2021, but I can say that this is the best movie so far, and I think this will stay my favorite movie for a good long while, because I actually really enjoyed this a heck of a lot. I almost went to say I'm gonna give it an 8.5. I'm thinking maybe a 9. Maybe like Ryan, I'll let my thoughts stew for a little while, and maybe it'll just like, you know what, I really was impressed by this, and then increase it. But I'm gonna go ahead and say 8.5. Solid movie, solid performances from everybody. Definitely a recommendation for this year. easily.
Now the question is this a 2020 movie or is this a 2021 movie? Ryan?
Go ahead, Ryan.
I'm not the Oscars, and this has a wide release date in 2021.
Okay.
So I've already done my best of the year because I'm not going to wait until January of this year. And then what's my cutoff? I don't even know what the Oscar cutoff is this year. Do they just exclude everything that comes out right before the Oscars? Obviously, Oscar voting is going to happen.
Yeah.
But I don't even know what the timeline for that is right now because I don't look it up. So it's 2021, which is why Just Mercy was on my 2020 list. Except I didn't watch it.
Oh, well, you know, you guys, I'm a sucker for good performances, and this movie had at least 4 of them, and it had some great performances in it too. I will compare this. If this was a 2020 film, this would be in my top 10 right up there with Ma Rainey's Black Bottom. Both based on plays, both stellar performances. I will say I feel the direction in Black Bottom was better. It was far more immersive as far as being in a play. It didn't seem as like focused on one scene. It seemed to be going, even though it was one scene in that movie, it seemed like the camera was going and following. You felt like you were in the action as opposed to just looking at the scene take place, which is what this movie kind of felt like to me. So that's why I enjoyed that one more. That said, the performances in this was good. As far as like a debut film from Regina King, it doesn't look bad. It looks good. There's some shots in there that were really great, especially when they're not in that hotel room and they're shooting like where every character is before they get there. Those are awesome. And the performances she got out of these guys was just insane. The guy who played, and I piggyback on yours, Alex, the guy who plays Malcolm X blew me away. And, you know, I don't know if this is a 2020 movie or not, if this will be in the Oscars, but he should definitely be in the running for Best Actor. Is it Sound of Thunder quality? Who knows? But he's definitely there. Yes, Ryan, I'm not a teacher. Just interject, please.
Well, I know how doing it on Zoom is so weird interjecting sometimes where now I understand your question. Yeah, because this did have a premiere in 2020. So the Oscars, whether or not they're calling the cutoff the end of 2020 or not, it can still be a contender this year.
Okay. Yeah, so that's, I think the Malcolm X guy, amazing. And I'm going to look up his name right quick because I feel like a jerk from saying that and saying he had a good performance right quick. Someone want to tell me? Hurry up, tell me.
Kingsley Ben Adir.
I do remember the name Kingsley, yep.
Kingsley Ben
Okay, Kingsley Ben. Okay, great.
It's not Ben Kingsley,
amazing.
not to be confused with him.
Which ironically,
like
this guy is actually British.
Well, that's man. They're always
Same.
British, man. Everyone's British. They're all British. All these actors. I feel like we almost have like. There's been a lot of like. I say Ma Rainey's Black Bottom. I feel like in Defy Bloods came out. There's been almost this focus and almost, I don't want to say it's a renaissance, but there's been a lot of great African American Black performances out there this year. And I feel like it's just a breath of fresh air to go out there and you see new faces and you see what's out there and you give them these roles and they produce wonderful content, wonderful material. This movie was great. I'd give it an 8 out of 10. It's not 9 quality. I think if the direction was a little more immersive, I'd probably give it a 9, but Regina, man, she did a great job for this first film. I mean, it is a play. I mean, I didn't even realize it was a play, and it makes more sense now. Yeah. But it's a play, and it was a good story. I think I'm with Ryan though. I don't know if I'm gonna go back and watch this. It's not on my. I'd watch Ma Rainey's again just because there was an emotional connection for me there. There's not really one here for me. If he wins like an award for this performance, I doubt he will. Maybe I'll go back and watch it, or maybe if I just want to see his performance again, I'll watch it. But it was a good film. I definitely recommend it to people to watch it at least once. So it was a good film. 8 out of 10. I don't think I really have anything negative to say about it.
Cool. So yeah, to touch on everything that everybody said, yeah, the performances and everything are really top notch. Kingsley does an incredible job. Even Eli Gore, who plays Cassius Clay, like he sounded like Muhammad Ali. So he did a really good job. Leslie Odom Jr. actually plays Sam Cooke, and Adelis Hodge plays Jim Brown. So let me first by saying that, yeah, I'd probably give this an 8.5. I'm going to go with an 8. Strictly because since you guys wanted to laud this movie, I'm going to kind of like nitpick this. For me, I think the only problem with this movie is context. Because you don't really get a lot of that context of like who these people are. Because if you're just like a casual fan and just kind of like pick this movie out of like a box and just started watching this without actually knowing who these people are, you're gonna have very minimal like information on like really who these people are and what the impact of these people actually are, especially in the 60s. Because even with Malcolm X, I'm sure that a lot of people know who Malcolm X is, but if you really don't, you're kind of like in the dark and like, why this guy's so angry, or militant, as they say in this movie. But to even nitpick even more, or to like even to show that context even more, before you guys watch this movie, besides Matt, I'm sure that you know who this is, but do you guys know who Sam Cooke is?
I knew of the name, like I wasn't familiar with any of his music, but I knew of the individual. Yeah.
Right. So, but that's my point is like like Jim Brown is probably going to be very known for sports fans. Obviously, Muhammad Ali. Well, maybe not Ryan. But like you know who Muhammad Ali is. You kind of know who Malcolm X is. But I think the unsung hero of this movie is actually Sam Cooke. Because not a lot of people know who Sam Cooke is, and what he kind of did for music during the 60s and kind of like breaking those boundaries in the 60s for music. And Malcolm X in the movie does make a very good point that he's kind of like playing for a certain type of crowd, but he's still breaking boundaries and stuff like that. So this is literally my only nitpick with this movie is that it doesn't really have much context to it. It does have a little bit in the beginning for Muhammad Ali and a little bit more for like Malcolm X. But like Jim Brown, like his whole character is kind of cast aside to showcase like the other three. I mean, I think that that's kind of detrimental to Ed De Los Hodge because I think that he did a really good job with the character. So those are my only two kind of nitpicks about this movie, but I would definitely give it an 8. I think that she did a great job, and like these performances, like you guys said, are really good.
I think that's legitimate. Those are very legitimate gripes because, yeah, this is definitely a catered piece. Like you have to know these people in order to be somewhat invested in this. Yeah, I mean, if you just go into it going, hey, one night in Miami, maybe I'll see some Miami Vice references or something like that. No.
Maybe this is The Hangover 4.
Yeah, right. Exactly. So you have to have some knowledge going into it for sure. And then, yeah, Jim Brown. Yeah, it would have been nice because honestly, unless you're familiar with the name, he's just some guy.
Yeah.
For the most part. But I mean, it's fortunate for me because, you know, obviously being the sports fan I am, I knew who he was. And I agree. Sam Cooke, I wish I'd have mentioned him more in my review, but yeah, he was definitely not the unsung person, but like the indirect, like hero, I guess, per se, sort of.
Yeah.
But yeah, I get what you're saying is the point. And I think, yeah, those are all solid opinions, and the gripes are very, very well established, and they're very legitimate. I agree.
Yeah, I think. I mean, I agree with that too. Is Jim Brown was a character I know the name, didn't know the character, and by the end, I didn't know the character.
Yeah,
I think they do a good job establishing where the other three are. Even if you don't know them, you lose a little bit early on, but you kind of get the idea of where their cultural impact either has lied, is lying, or will lie.
Right.
Except for Jim Brown, which I mean, I obviously know because I looked him up afterwards. And I'm like, you know, I don't get much of his backstory. I don't get much of what he's doing right now other than foraying into film.
Yeah.
And I don't know what happened with that. So yeah. It almost could be a little
I feel
longer.
Yeah, I feel like a little more backstory, a little more of that would have been good. I think the play itself, and who knows how the play is written, but I think they try their best usually with those those 4 separate little vignettes of like the situation those characters are in before they all get together to try to give like a hint of like where these people are coming from, where they're at right now, and how they're still being treated. I think that's enough to go on. I think the movie is impacts a lot harder, like Clint said, if you know more context of them. So I can see where that is. But I think the movie, or the play's written so that it handles that pretty well. Of course, the play's written for a certain audience who, would probably already know who these people are regardless. So
right.
Yeah.
We just don't know.
Yeah. So, all right.
Yep.
Any more thoughts on One Night in Miami?
Nah.
Solid 8s, except for Ryan. Oh.
I mean, I'll probably
Ryan
have
hates
it at
plays.
8.
It's okay.
I do.
Sorry.
But I mean, I don't hate plays. The bottle plays, just but by the morning, I bet you'll see an 8 out of 10 on my review. So
Nice.
He's just letting it simmer and get to the nice optimal temperature.
We'll sway him somehow. All right. So that was One Night in Miami. So next up is Alex's Classic Corner. Oh, wait. Go ahead.
Can
Ryan.
I substitute for Alex because
Because Alex doesn't have much to say.
tap out.
Yeah. Since you didn't.
I'll go.
Finish the movie.
Let me go ahead and just throw out my my review. So I reviewed this week Some Like It Hot with Marilyn Monroe, Jack Lemmon, and gosh, who's the other guy? I'm like blanking.
Tony Curtis.
Tony Curtis. Thank you. Sorry.
Jamie Lee's dad.
Yeah, I was gonna say Jamie's daddy. So the whole premise of the movie is that there's these 2 musicians, and they, for a couple of reasons, need to personate as women to get into this band, to get out of the area, I think they're in New York, get out of New York. Oh, sorry, Chicago. Get out of Chicago. And, while also getting out of Chicago, also making money because they're very broke. This is it's a 1959 movie, but it's set in 1929, I think, somewhere late 20s, early 30s. Overall, I appreciate the humor in this movie, but it's slapstick toned without being slapstick per se. And I honestly didn't even know that it was the whole premise of them dressing up as women. Cause even with having the DVD case like in front of me, I just really didn't even pay attention to it. I just kind of dove into it, and like sometimes that works with me, sometimes it doesn't. I think more often it doesn't. The whole, hey, we have to put up this charade or this facade that we're women, but obviously we're not women because we're these huge men who probably have some stubble every once in a while, and our women voices are so not feminine at all. So who are we fooling? But we're fooling everybody, kind of deal. And I get it. I was mentioning before we started the video that had I been like, if I was my dad's age or maybe about 5 to 10 years older, and this was like newer and more revolutionary when I was his age, around that time I was 10 years old, I think I would appreciate this film more. That's just my personal take, because it felt like almost like a dad joke that wasn't that funny to begin with, that was stretched into 2 hours for me. I wasn't that crazy. It has some long scenes and some dull conversations to me that just are not interesting at all. I mean, at the beginning of them, they have like some merit and some flesh, but I mean, they don't really blossom very much to me. It just kind of drops dead very quick, and I love Jack Lemmon. I did the Apartment review a couple weeks ago, and I thought that was great, and I thought this was going to be exactly like that, but his performance to me was not as good in this as it was in that, because I just felt like he was a little bit more one-dimensional in this. I mean, he's not completely complex in the other one, but he's even less so in this movie to me. and I certainly just don't get the why is this considered one of the best comedies. Maybe because at its time it was revolutionary, kind of like how Lawrence of Arabia was with its cinematography, its musical score, its setting placements, and all that. So I get that. Like, it's revolutionary for its time. I just personally don't think that it's aged the best. It's not cliche ridden. Like, it's not something that I haven't seen in other movies, pretty much. So. And the biggest faux pas from this is that I didn't even finish it because I got into an hour and a half, got interrupted by a phone call, and then when I went back to the movie, my stamina for watching this kind of died, and I couldn't make it through. Just because I was whatever stamina I had was just kind of drained pretty quick. About an hour into it, I was like, okay, I get the premise of this. I wish this did not need to be 2 hours long, easily for me. I would have been happy with an hour and a half for sure.
Tisk, sir.
But a number. I enjoyed this more than Maltese Falcon for sure. And I gave that a 5.7. Weird number, but I gave it that. This 6.5 maybe. I know there are better Jack Lemmon flicks out there, and I know there are better comedy movies that are from the same era. So I appreciate what it tried to do, but I wasn't into it. It wasn't for me. It just kind of, yeah. So.
All right. So since you've seen 2 Billy Wilder films, which one would your favorite be?
What was the other one? What did I say?
The Apartment.
Oh,
The
yeah.
Apartment.
Apartment for sure. I mean, because I remember I mentioned it in the last video, and I mentioned it in our text. I was just like, I was hooked in with the story. Like, the story had, like, I was more interested in the story rather than the comedy. The comedy in that was okay. It was fine. Like, I laughed quite a bit, but I was more like, oh man, he wants to use his apartment with a girl, but that he doesn't know that girl's the girl that he likes and everything. And it's kind of like, whoa, even though I think it's because I haven't, I know there are other movies that have got that for sure. None that I can recall off the top of my head, but it was different to me and it was new to me. Whereas Some Like It Hot, I've seen it in other movies. So it just didn't bring anything new. The Apartment for sure between the two Billy movies.
Cool. And that was Alex's Classic Corner. Awesome. Thank you, Alex.
Yeah, more like put in timeout corner. Sorry, I'm just kidding.
Wow.
What's the point system for an incomplete grade?
Oh yeah, right. I don't know. Do I have to give it a half a grade higher?
No.
It's just an incomplete. There's no grade.
Yeah. I'm just gonna wag my finger at you and be like, tisk, sir.
It's like you don't get any penalty. You just get the thought of knowing that I'm disappointed in you.
Exactly. So there has been a debate between the four of us. Did we solve this for your next Alex Classic Corner? Or what are we doing?
I think we're
there's
gonna
a debate. I was not involved. What are we doing?
Well, you were in the text message thread, sir. So if you weren't paying attention.
So for anybody watching the debate was between Night of the Living Dead, Rosemary's Baby, and then I threw in Rear Window because that has been on my list for a while for my next classic movie. I'm going to go ahead and say I'm not interested in Rosemary's Baby at all. So
You wouldn't like it.
Yeah, you
I'm
probably wouldn't like it.
I'm going to throw that one out with the bathwater this time.
Jesus.
That was good.
So it was between Night of the Living Dead and Rear Window. I think I'm going to stick with Night of the Living Dead because I know that's on HBO Max, and I can go ahead and watch that, and then because none of us have no, Ryan has it, I think, on Vudu, so I may either borrow his Vudu account in order to watch Rear Window on the next week. But I think for now I'll stick with Living Dead because I hear that's actually one of the best horror movies ever, and I've actually never sat down and watched it.
Yeah, you have to take in mind that all of the movies you've seen like it are because of that one.
Yeah. Yeah. This is
Okay.
the start of it.
And
So
then
I
when
will
you're
grade-
done watching it, you can go and watch the remake.
When was that made?
2003?
No. See,
There's like
I
four of them.
Yeah,
I think I'm gonna
talking
give
about,
this-
like the '90s one.
I think I'm going
Or
to
the
grade
late
this one
80s
on
one.
a curve, because I get what you're saying, Ryan. Because like I'm probably going to see it and go, okay, I see these elements. This is cliche, But at the same, it's what's made horror cliches.
You will be pleasantly surprised at the lack of cliches in this 80 or 50-year-old. How old is this movie? 60?
68.
1968.
60,
Yeah, this really old zombie movie.
62,
So 50, yeah,
or 58, 52.
53 now.
It's
Whenever
really old.
It is.
No cliches in it because there weren't any other zombie movies like that.
There
Yeah.
is a fun little story. I remember my dad telling me about when he watched it, and he's grown up in different places. Like he was born in Madison, lived a little bit in Utah, and then came back into the Northern Virginia to finish like school and go to William and Mary and everything. But whenever he did watch it, wherever the woods were near the theater, he and his friends were so scared they were just like, and just kind of ran through the woods like things were about to happen. So he's told me that every once in a while when that movie comes into the conversation. But yeah, I'll watch that for sure. I think it's not one of mine that I'm so looking forward to, but it's not one that I'm like, no, I'm gonna put that aside. No, I can watch this one. It's not like Rosemary's Baby. I have absolutely zero interest in that.
I think if we keep doing these once a week, a year from now, you'll want to watch Rosemary's Baby.
Oh man, Rosemary Clooney.
It's not an easy class, or it's not an easy one to jump into, though, for sure.
Yeah. Well, I'm trying to get cover all the genres. We've done musicals, we've done a couple comedies, film noir, we've done a few dramas, epic
High
dramas.
Noon. Gary Cooper, High Noon. You get like the first Western ever.
We're gonna do spaghetti westerns next for you, man.
Oh man,
After Rear Window. Yeah, let's do like Fistful of Dollars.
The Dollars
or-
trilogy, yeah.
I know.
Yeah.
At some point, we're gonna have to segue into like all time classics, like not just 50s and 60s. Probably gonna. All right, let's dig out into the 80s and see what's there that I've never watched.
Man.
You've seen all the 80s classics. We know you.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but Ryan, he hates all of them too.
Interesting.
But like what? Oh,
The
yeah,
You don't like
Goonies.
the Goonies,
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
I
bro.
don't like the Goonies.
and you don't like Ned and Ted's Big Break.
No, I don't. No, I make fun of that. It's not that I don't like that.
I don't understand the end of the Goonies. Like the last 5 minutes.
I don't understand any of the
Easiest
movie.
thing.
They never say die, Ryan. The Goonies never say die.
Never say die.
Dr. Jones.
No time for love, Dr. Jones. All right. Well,
That's not
I mean,
data.
Alex,
That's short round.
Yeah. We can have you watch like Midnight Cowboy or something. You want to watch that?
Oh wait, Midnight Cowboy. I always get that one confused with Urban Cowboy. Or what? Which one's with?
There you go.
Which one's with? I'm forgetting all the people's names involved.
Well, Midnight Cowboy stars John Voight and Dustin Hoffman, and Urban Cowboy stars John Travolta.
Yeah, I don't know. I can watch. Yeah, at some point I'll have to watch one of those. Speaking of my dad again, he loves Urban Cowboy. He doesn't like Midnight Cowboy. He's like, so I've got that kind of slight influence, but I'm willing to try because sometimes we differ on our taste.
Let's just say that Midnight Cowboy is not a party movie.
Somebody's talking at me.
Mm-hmm.
I do know that song.
All right. For the rest of us, though, and you, Alex, the only movie that is actually like releasing this week, is The White Tiger.
Yeah,
Which
I
is
tried to
on
look at
Netflix.
all the other streaming services too. I looked like at anything Netflix, Hulu, Amazon, anything original. Nope, there's squat. White Tiger is it. The only other one, is the AnthonyMackie movie that we had mentioned last week. Something on Fire or something.
Brian already watched it and he hated it. We can't watch it. I'm sorry.
I don't know.
Yeah.
We can't hear you, Ryan.
What? Really?
Yeah.
Well,
Mackie, turn your speaker off or your mic
Yeah. He heard that you hated his movie. Gosh, Ryan.
And mute. That's funny.
AnthonyMackie, we love you, so don't turn us all off.
But yeah, I guess White Tiger is kind of like the winner by default.
Yeah. I mean, unless you guys want to pay $20 to see Promising Young Woman. So.
No.
No.
I mean, I want to see that. I don't want to pay $20 to see that.
Fair enough.
Ryan, do you own it yet? Let me borrow it on Vudu. I can't hear you again.
Hold on. All right, so we lost Ryan, but okay. We're
Dang
towards the
you,
end
Anthony Mackie.
right? He's watching. He's always watching. But we're at the end of the show anyway. So, White Tiger for all of us. It's gonna be played. Going to be played on Netflix.
I love Power Ranger movies.
Yeah. Wait, I thought that was a white dragon. No, I don't know. Anyway, Alex is going to do Night of the Living Dead and White Tiger for the rest of us. All right. You guys have any other thoughts besides Ryan?
Oh, that's an interesting thought, Ryan. Care to elaborate?
And
Anyone listening to this, Ryan is on screen, but he doesn't have his mic working.
yeah. Who knows?
I don't know.
I'm telling you, AnthonyMackie is always watching. So
We're always watching, Wazowski.
all right. Well, then this meeting is adjourned. I'll see you guys next week.